so guess what? President Obama got in a lot of trouble, got a little hot water because he said he didn't have a strategy yet to deal with ISIS. And, well, he got the hint, and he realized that even though nobody ever yet so far has come up with a real plan to stamp out Islamist terrorists from the earth, President Obama knows he still needs to talk like he knows how to do that, right? He figured that out when he first said he didn't know. So here's what he said just the other day talking about ISIS.
Our objective is clear, and that is to degrade and destroy ISIL so that it's no longer a threat, not just to Iraq, but also to the region and to the United States.
See, we just need to degrade them and destroy them, just like we did with the Al-Qaeda. Remember how good that turned out? Remember when we spent trillions of dollars to crush them? And now they have their own state in the Middle East. See? So if we do to ISIS what we did to Al-Qaeda, then we should have a new, even more depraved group of violent psychopaths to deal with in no time at all, right? So this is a good strategy. This is a good strategy. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Jimmy, we need just one more decade of war in the Middle East, and then we'll be rid of all these militants.
Yes.
Just one more decade.
Exactly. The question we've asked before on this show, how many more Muslims do we have to kill before these terrorists stop bothering us?
Why can't we rid the Middle East of all these pesky Muslims? I mean, where do they keep coming from?
Where do they keep coming? But then Barack Obama realized that what he had said was a little too strong, that we need to degrade and destroy ISIS. So he, in the same press conference, he already started to backpedal. Okay, ready? So he went from we need to destroy them to this.
We know that if we are joined by the international community, we can continue to shrink ISIL's sphere of influence, its effectiveness, its financing, its military capabilities, to the point where it is a manageable problem.
Oh, so now he went from destroying them. Now he just thinks they need a good manager. That's what he's saying. So maybe we get that manager that Governor Rick Snyder appointed to run Detroit, right? Is that the kind of manager Barack Obama's talking about? I wonder, Frank, if ISIS would finally get the message that we're really pissed off if we cut off their water.
Hey, before they get a good manager, I need a good manager.
That's right.
And,
so that's what it's about. He went from destroying them to we should try to manage them to, again, this is how much more money do we have to spend in the Middle East fighting terrorists, right? We just spent trillions. We just spent $25 billion arming the Iraqi army. And guess what? Nothing had, they all went away.
Well, what we did was we spent those trillions of dollars creating this situation.
Yes.
I don't know.
That's what the money went into.
Yeah, so all that money we spent, the Iraq war, it turned into this. This is the result of that.
Right.
And the thing that could have prevented this, is if when there was a drought in Syria and Syria put out a help call to the UN and to the world to help them with their drought, they said, no, we're not going to help you. But we'll wait till there's complete unrest in your country over the drought and there's a civil war. Then we'll start bombing you. But we're not going to give you water or anything. But we will help start a breeding ground for ISIS, and we will create the borderless Middle East so we could have terrorists have their own states. But should we help with the drought in Syria? No, because this is kind of the tip of the iceberg of global warming, right? This is kind of like, you could make the case that this was kind of fueled by global warming because this was fueled by a drought, which is never talked about in the news, never talked about, that's how the Syrian problem started. And then how did the Iraq problem start? We started it. We went and we killed Saddam Hussein and his sons, the only people that were able to keep Iraq together. We got rid of them, and now this is what we have. So General Anthony Zinni, It was on Meet the Press this past week. Anthony Zinni. By the way, he's the special envoy for the United States to Israel and Palestine, so you know he knows how to cool down a crisis. So here comes Anthony Zinni, and here's what he had to say, what we should do right now in the Middle East with ISIS, and tell me if it doesn't sound eerily familiar to stuff we heard in 2002.
The boots on the ground question is always the toughest one. I wish we were not so paranoid about boots on the ground. We can't even define it. There's going to have to be special operations forces. There's going to have to be people that can call in and adjust air and fires and advisors to be with these units. And very simply put, if you put 2 brigades on the ground right now of U.S. forces, they would push ISIS back into Syria in a heartbeat. And probably take less time, less cost, and I think in the long run, fewer casualties overall.
Oh, yeah, so we can get this taken care of. We're going to fix everything with 8,000 troops and bam, bam, problem solved. Light footprint.
How come he forgot to say we'll be treated as liberators?
Yes, he should have said that. He should have said that. Why didn't he say we have to fight him over there to fight him over? And then this would be over in 2 or 3 weeks, and that the
war will pay for itself.
The war's going to pay for itself, and the insurgents are in their last throes.
Yes, but are we going to be able to still torture?
I think we should be able to torture. I think we're going to be able to torture.
The good thing is fortunately, we have plenty of money to spend on all this.
Yes, fortunately.
Everything in America is all taken care of. Everybody has enough infrastructure and everything.
Yeah, we have enough bridges and roads, and it's not... Sure, we have 40 kids in every classroom in every high school in America, and they have to share graduation gowns. Meanwhile, we have tanks parked in Ferguson, Missouri, and trillions of dollars sitting in a hole called Iraq.
You know, Jimmy, in the lead up to the Iraq War, people would be on Fox News, and Sean Hannity and those people would say, "Do you really think the world would be safer with Saddam Hussein in power? Do you really think
Yes.
the world is safer?" And the answer we now know is yes.
Yes.
The world was safer with Saddam Hussein in power.
Yes, yes. And by the way, Anthony Zinni, who just recommended 8,000 troops, 8,000, by the way, so it turns out, even though we spent trillions in the Iraq invasion and occupation, another $25 billion to train their army, none of that worked out the way we thought it would, and yet all it's going to take to fix everything right now is 8,000 troops. That's all it's going to take. So
well, there was one success in the training is the course they taught in retreating really took with them.
Yeah, those guys really, the high marks. Everybody got straight A's on how to retreat and leave your uniform on the battlefield. Yeah. That really worked great. Maybe they shouldn't teach that course anymore. I don't know. But Anthony's, now if you remember the first Iraq war, NBC brought on a bunch of generals like Anthony Zinni, and they were giving us advice on what we should do in Iraq. Like they all said we should go in and whatever, and this will be an easy operation. And turns out they were all on the take. They were all being paid by defense contractors, which is a conflict of interest, which NBC never revealed. And then when it did get revealed by someone else, Brian Williams never talked about it on his newscast. So
never been mentioned on NBC.
Never been mentioned. So now Anthony Zinni.
And no, just let me add too. It's never been mentioned on NBC. The New York Times reporter who wrote the article won a Pulitzer Prize for reporting that, and it's never been talked about on NBC.
Never been mentioned. I wonder if it's been mentioned on MSNBC. I'm going to guess no, but guess what? Anthony Zinni, he's a little dirty too. We did a little checking. Yeah, he's not only on the board of many military contracting companies, he is also a chairman of the Institute on Global Conflict. And apparently he specializes in creating global conflict.
Right.
I like how he says we can't even define boots on the ground. Then he proceeds to define it.
Yes.
Exactly. What the general is saying is that he has the full approval of General Electric's board of directors upstairs from the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he's also on the board of a company that makes boots.
Yeah. So there you go. All the trillions of dollars we spent in Iraq, retraining their army, the billions of stuff that we're not spending at home. We have bridges falling down. We're firing teachers, cops, Occupy Wall Street, biggest income disparity since the Gilded Age. But all we need is 8,000 more troops in the Middle East, and it'll be no time. In no time, everything will be fixed, says the guy working for defense contractors on
Jimmy,
NBC.
I'm still thinking about what you said about the drought in Syria. If only we married our want to bomb Syria with our want to give them water by just throwing water balloons at them.
Yes, why didn't we bomb them with water balloons? That would have been more helpful.